Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, the parable we heard today in our gospel is unique to Luke's gospel. But its spirit shows up in Jesus' teachings about treasures in heaven versus treasures on earth in other gospels also. The Christian attitude towards possessions is an important theme in the Gospels, especially in Luke. In the setup to this parable, a man asks Jesus to settle his dispute with his brother over their inheritance. Jesus changes the subject from possessions to one's attitude towards them. The parable undercuts our habits of equating possessions with life. The parable shines a light into the man's inward life through a soliloquy or a self-talk, or one's own himself saying, one of the Luke's favorite sayings, ways of expressing a person's motivations and decisions. The rich man's words himself express his decision to continue on his present course of accumulating more resources without sharing. His expectation is that his comfortable life, lived without thought of the suffering of others, will continue, only better organized with a more secure future. There is no conversion or change of course here to propel the plot forward. In this respect, this parable is like the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. The man's own death, which we are told will happen this same evening, intervenes with appalling swiftness. This is the only parable in Luke in which God directly addresses a character. And God says this is, "You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be?" The rich farmer parable points to the futility of devoting one's life to accumulating possessions in the light of the coming judgment. The book of Proverbs have very nice words about this theme. The search for wisdom, living in keeping with God's will, ought to be the goal of our life, says Proverb. The Lord stores up sound wisdom for the upright. This is a far better storehouse than the silos full of more grain than one person could possibly eat in a lifetime. Wisdom is frequently equated with a wealth that is more lasting and satisfying than gold, silver, and jewels. Wisdom and life and wise life are equated with life, not just longevity and prosperity, but with one's relationship with God that neither adversity nor death can take away. Wisdom is a tree of life those who lay hold of her. My dear friends, every parable has realistic features that draw us in thinking. The realistic portion of this parable is that the rich man in Jesus' day would hoard his wealth while the poor around him were malnourished. This points to the social reality all around. Every parable has at least one unrealistic feature, something that would not happen in daily course of life. The strange, unrealistic aspect here is that God speaks to him directly. God informs him of the futility of the priorities he has chosen in life and on the exact timing of demise. While none of us gets the timing memo, we have the futility information. Does it make a difference in our priorities for living out the future days of our life?